I'm delighted to welcome you to my home kitchen in Oakland. I've been an Ollie member for a couple of years, and I took my first Ollie course last last winter in Lafayette. It was called something like the Immigrant Experience in Documentary Film, taught by the energetic and beloved Joe Lurie. And last winter, before the great lockdown, when Joe spoke about this course at the faculty showcase at Freight and Salvage, he told us the filmmakers would be zooming in to discuss their films with us in class. I thought that was an odd verb to use. I couldn't imagine why they'd have to drive fast to get to us in Lafayette. Who knew? I found Joe's style of teaching to be inspirational as the subject matter. And I've since taken 2 more Ollie classes. I want you to know that I'm honored to be invited by Susan, Matt, and the Ollie Curriculum Committee to be teaching Cooking with Summer Produce this June. I'm a professionally trained chef and culinary educator and cookbook author, as Susan mentioned. You can find details in the brief bio that I posted online with my syllabus. And as I mentioned in that bio, of all the work I've done in my 30+ year career in culinary arts, the thing I love most is teaching cooking. And I'm excited to have you zoom into my home kitchen. Let me give you a quick tour. We have 2 cameras. We'll have 2 cameras for these classes. I've been teaching cooking classes on Zoom for almost a year now. So you'll have this head-on view here, and you'll also have this view that's overhead where you'll see the burners and what is this called again? It's a cutting board. And to the left of the burners, to my left, is a gas grill, which we'll be using for a fabulous array of grilled summertime vegetables. I'll tell you about that in a minute. There's an oven here, there's an oven here, there's a microwave, and all the other standard stuff you'd expect in your kitchen. Several people have asked me what recipes I'll be demonstrating in the class. And because it's hard to predict what's going to be at the peak of its seasonal freshness at any given point, I'm going to just play it by ear. So each week you'll receive recipes for the next week's class. For sure, some of the things that I'm thinking that are rising to the top of the list recipes-wise are savory corn pudding with roasted red pepper coulis, summer squash braised with sweet peppers, tomatoes, and basil, zucchini olive oil cake with boozy raisins and lemon icing, my grandmother's battered and fried squash blossoms, tomato cheddar soup, burrata stuffed early girl tomatoes, orzo with fresh toy box tomatoes and mint, spaghetti with grated raw tomato sauce and torn basil, panzanella, irresistible stale bread and ripe tomato salad, perhaps with some peaches. And speaking of peaches, I have the recipe for Casa Arinda's legendary stone fruit clafouti cake. We'll also be making fresh fava beans with pecorino and Meyer lemon olive oil, braised Romano beans, a summer risotto with pesto, and that grilled vegetable platter. There are so many tips and techniques for how to make really succulent, savory, tasty grilled vegetables instead of those leathery on the outside, raw on the inside slabs of zucchini that you may be as familiar with as I am. That's just a proverbial taste of what's to come. As I mentioned, each week you'll receive the recipes for the next week's class. And during the class, you'll learn how to select the best fruits, vegetables, legumes, and herbs. And I'll show you how to store and prep them. I want to emphasize that this is not a hands-on or cook-along class, but you'll have the opportunity for optional homework, and you'll be able to shop for and prepare one of the recipes that I've demonstrated in class. And then when we meet again the next week, we'll have a chance for questions and answers to see if you had any challenges with those recipes or selecting the produce that you use to prepare them. I really hope you'll zoom in to join me in the kitchen for Cooking with Summer Produce. It doesn't require driving fast, and you don't even have to get in the car. Thanks for your consideration.